I was asked a question about my journey after I made my video of being molested. And the comment came from a gentleman who has in fact been molested in his life. He chooses not to reveal that story, which is why I'm not going to reveal his name, but you know who you are. I said I would do this video for him, so here it goes. Before we continue, please consider donating to the channel. This is the only way that I'm able to grow my channel. I do need support. I need financial support. There is no getting around it. So if you like my content and you want to see this channel grow, please consider donating to the Cash App, to the Patreon, the PayPal, and even Streamlabs. I got a chip jar right there. This all comes straight to me. Now, if you want to donate through YouTube, you can, but that's a monthly thing. It takes a month for it to get to me. And yeah, it's a little difficult, especially when they're taking 30% off the top. So if you want to get the donations directly to me, you can use Patreon, you can use Cash App, you can use GoFundMe, and you can use Streamlabs, which is the tip jar. So let's get to the content. If you wanted to know how did I cope, or how am I coping with being molested? And I had to think about it a lot. And it took me down a very, very interesting path. It took me down a path of discovery, things that I was doing frequently, quite frequently, due to the fact that I was molested. I watch a lot of porn, or at least I did watch a lot of porn. And if I'm being honest, I can trace it all the way back to when I was 8 years old, when I was molested for the first time. I was curious. I was curious about what just happened to me. And I wanted answers, but I couldn't get them from my folks because most of us as children, we internalize it as it being our fault. We don't know who to tell. We feel like we did something wrong. And in many cases, it feels good. And because you enjoyed it, you really don't know how to handle it. With that said, I decided to search for it, and I came across pornography. You know, it wasn't hard. My father had a whole bunch of tapes in his house, so I came across pornography. I knew he had pornography because I remember one day accidentally putting in the wrong tape, and I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying, jumping jack off Flash, and I'm like, oh, this sounds good, and I put it in, and like, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I had that experience. But soon after I was molested, I was like, wow, I like this. And I've been watching porn ever since. So one of the major issues with being molested is that it does open doors. And if you do not get proper counsel on them, it can go way left. I've been watching porn ever since I was 8 years old. I used to brag about my porn collection. I used to have a shelf in my closet and it was filled with porn. Like, oh my God, it was just VHS tapes of nothing but porn, and they were all labeled, and it was in alphabetical order, and it was just insane how nasty I was. And I did the pretty much same thing as an adult with Pornhub and all that sort of stuff. I started doing the same thing. I had categories of my porn. But I said all that to say this is because it is a dark tunnel, and if you are a person who has been sexually violated, you might want to consider getting help, because you might be doing what I was doing. That's how I was coping with what happened to me. I watched porn. I wasn't one of those guys to go around and sleeping around. I didn't do that, but I satisfied my desire through porn. That's not a good thing. Okay, porn is a big waste of time. It truly is. It really is a big waste of time. Can you imagine how much time it takes to clean up, to prepare, to set up? Because if you're like me, you have a ritual of watching your porn. There's a certain way you want to do it. You want everything set up in a certain way. You want your everything has to be right for me. It had to be right. And if it wasn't right, then I couldn't truly enjoy myself. So I had to have my cot, I had to have my laptop or whatever device I was using. I had to have all my stuff ready to rock and roll. And it takes a ton of time, and it drains you. It drains you. Whether you want to believe it or not, it drains you. So that's how I coped with it. Because inside I still felt violated. Inside I still felt that there was something stolen from me. Because it was. You know, I didn't give up my virginity like I wanted to. I didn't choose to give it up. It was taken. And the way it was taken, it did a lot of things to me. For example, am I truly a dom, or am I a man trying to get my dominance back? It's a damn good question, isn't it? It's a question that I've never really asked myself until I sat down and read that comment. And now that I'm actually thinking about it, I'm like, well, damn, I wonder how much of my life was structured around being molested. I can track porn to it. You know, I can track feeling insecure to it. I can track a very, very healthy sexual appetite to it. And I could track a lot of stuff to being molested. So it's a wonder. I don't know how much of it was based on having my innocence robbed from me. But what I can tell you to say is this: it really doesn't matter. You see, that was the past. Right? That was the past. And I think this is what makes it so much easier for me to give up porn. Because once I realize the reason I'm doing something, and I realize that reason isn't serving me, I can let it go. I can let it go. I'm like, oh, that's why I do it. Okay, then I don't have to do it anymore, because now I understand the reasoning behind it. It doesn't serve me, and it doesn't serve my wife. Therefore, it's done. It's out of my life. I sat there. I threw away all my toys. I deleted all my porn. And I did it in front of my wife. And I promised to her that I will never touch porn again. And I don't promise unless I mean it. So my wife just started to cry. She just flat out started to cry. And that was a weight lifted off of my shoulders, because I now know that she has a weight lifted off of hers. The way I'm coping with it now is realizing I was violated, and I am a victor, because I don't have to live in the past. I don't have to make rules based on what happened to me when I was younger. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with having such a traumatic thing happen to you when you're young, because you can't understand it. You don't understand what you're dealing with. You can't understand the emotions and the fear and the confusion and your why. And instead of being able to say, you know what, this happened because of this reason, you're saying, I will never let it happen again because it was my fault. I did something wrong. You take all the blame for someone else's actions. So how do I cope with it? I just don't deal with it anymore. I don't allow myself to be a victim anymore. I wasn't a victim then. I just didn't know any better. And had I did, I probably would have fought the person off. But I didn't, because I didn't know any better. I didn't know what was going on, because yes, my mom and dad did tell me about good touch, bad touch. But they never told me about how that touch feels. They never explained to me that it's going to feel good, which might confuse you. And because of that lack of knowledge, I didn't know how to deal with it. That's how I was coping with it. I was using porn. What I'm going to do from this point on is to stop being a victim, because I'm not a victim. I was 8 years old. That was 32 years ago. 32 years ago. And for 32 years, I've watched porn damn near every single day. damn near every single day, with, you know, breaks and, you know, going on vacation. You're not going to be watching porn on vacation. You know, when I did my no-fap, I wasn't watching porn, you know, stuff like that. But for the most part, if I wasn't doing anything productive, I was watching porn. That's how I cope with it for so long. I hope this really does help you, because I know what it's like to suffer in silence for years, to be afraid to tell people what happened to you, to be afraid to tell people you're vulnerable, to be afraid to say, I don't know how to deal with this. I know how that feels. I know how it feels to be ridiculed. I know how it feels to be dismissed. I know how it feels to be told, just get over it. Now, does that mean you still hide out? Why? Why hide out? The worst a person can say, listen, the worst somebody can do is reject you. That is the absolute worst someone can do to you, is to reject you. Who the hell cares? I've been rejected many times, from business opportunities, from jobs, to women. Rejection is a part of life, man. But being silent and suffering in that silence, that right there is a choice. You choose to suffer in silence. And many of us cope through many ways that are destructive to our future. So from now on, I don't watch porn anymore. And I don't jerk off anymore. That's my wife's job. Well, that's the video for today. I hope this helps you, brother. This is Gary Lamb signing off. You guys have a good one.